Let him
Shock
prove
the
us
world.
everyone. Let him prove everybody wrong again. Why not? Why not?
That should be our tagline. Shock the world. Hashtag Nets world. Shock the world. You never know, right? Embiid is suspect. Harden is suspect. Doc Rivers is suspect. We know their history. We're not gonna go in there and bow to them either, right? Nets fans are gonna make the trip. The Brooklyn Brigade is planning a trip. I'm almost positive of that. And you can make that ride right down 95 to Wells Fargo Center and go root on your team.
Have some wine. Have some wine. Yo, what up, Talking Dick? Have some wine. You heard Spence? He said we made the playoffs tonight. Have some wine. Shout to Rob. Shout to Hut.
Have some wine. I know what he was saying. Have some wine. Yeah, I did see an article that the Brooklyn Nets shut down Say Less last night. Hotspot Say Less for a birthday bash till 3 a.m. Spencer Dinwiddie celebrating the big 3-0. Back to that voicemail.
I see y'all. Listen, yo, Keith Pete, we gonna make noise over there in Philly. I think we still at first game, and when it comes down to it, we should be upset because they've been doing this since the beginning. Like I said prior, they the ones who absorbed Dr. J because after the merger with ABA and the NBA, and they didn't get a championship after Dr. J. If our team was never dismantled, we would have been competitive since we got here. And they were part of the reason, and they the benefactors of it. Oh, nah, they got to get this work. I think there's going to be an upset. I feel it. This 6th seed and 3rd seed, we only 6th seed because Jacques Vaughn wasn't the coach for the first 10 games. Huh? Talk to me. And we only 6. Come on, man. I'm about to watch the show. I see y'all about to go on. Listen, man, I'm here, man. Talking Nets. It's Brooklyn Nets. We fitting to win that first game on Saturday. Let's go.
All right, that's Big Fan Breezy. And yeah, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of storylines between Brooklyn, New Jersey, and Philly. And I think that all makes for a good series, right? Let's hopefully take it 6 games, 7 games.
Let's make it interesting. That's all. That's all
I
I
think
want.
it will be. And like, I'm not saying that because I'm a Homer Nets fan. I'm saying that because like what I just said to you, some of these guys are suspect. Some of these guys aren't proven. There's a lot of weight on Embiid. You're the MVP, right? You're the MVP. Everybody's saying it. Well, go out there and play like the MVP. It's a regular season award. But now you've got that MVP talk on your shoulders. You have to go out there and score 50. Can you do that against Nick Claxton and Dorian Finney-Smith and whoever else is helping? I don't know. James Harden. This is a team that you limped on one leg and you helped in the playoffs just 2 seasons ago. Then you quit on last season. Now let's see what you have in the playoffs. You don't have that much time. You don't have a ring. We've seen you come up short. What's the deal? Doc Rivers, we've seen you blow leads. We've seen teams that you've coached that were supposed to run through the playoffs come up short. Let's see it. Let's play Big Fan Breezy's second voicemail. I'll give you 2.
Yeah, yo, one last thing. I know I just called Talking Nets, but I just want to say this last thing. Cam Thomas could fit in the rotation. I've seen that quote by Jacques Vaughn. I know you're probably going to post it. I'm about to jump back in the comments. When it comes down to Cam Thomas and fitting in the rotation, he doesn't have to marry 29 shots from Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas had 16 field goals made, 16 for 29. He shot over 50% for 1, for 2. 10 out of 16 were 2-pointers. So let him attack to put pressure on the rim. Let him score inside of the 3-point line. We already got enough guys.
I'm just going to stop you there, Big Fan Breezy. Appreciate the support, but I think this Cam Thomas conversation is another empty, meaningless conversation that we've had all season. Is he going to help us in the playoffs first round? I don't see it. I don't think they have that in their plans. Now, Big Fan Breezy referred to the Jacques Vaughn quote. I think it's important for us to read this. I think it's important for y'all to hear what he said. If you didn't, I'm trying to find it right now because he was talking about like, okay, I didn't even watch the game last night. There was no need to. I was in FanDuel trying to bet on some Brooklyn Nets. They didn't have one Brooklyn Net for you to bet on. And I'm trying now to find Jacques Vaughn's exact comments on what did Cam have? 42 points, something like that.
46.
46. It really doesn't matter to me or to anything that the Nets are doing right now. Go ahead and get your thoughts in, Hudson, and then I'll pull up the actual quote when I find it.
Yeah, I mean, right there's the dream of Cam Thomas being able to contribute to this team. and theoretically, he can. Theoretically, he has the scoring chops too. But at the end of the day, Cam Thomas has not shown, for as much as he has not shown the ability to be a not even a secondary piece on this team, a tertiary, or whatever the word is for fourth level piece for this team. He is not going to be a player for the Brooklyn Nets as currently constructed who is going to be able to take 30 shots a night on a regular basis. He's just not, because he's not as good as Mikal Bridges. He's just not as good, not as polished as Spencer Dinwiddie. And if he can figure out how to fit into the Nets rotation and to be a rotational player, then we'll talk. Then we'll see. Because there's a reason that Dorian Finney-Smith starts for the Nets and Cam Thomas doesn't. It's not because Cam Thomas isn't more talented than Dorian Finney-Smith. It's not because Cam Thomas can't score more than Dorian Finney-Smith. It's because it's not all about scoring. It's not all about iso ball. And when you are a player on a team with other good players, you can't just rely on the fact that, I put up a lot of points in garbage time games. Kenneth Lofton put up 42 for the Memphis Grizzlies. He put up 42, the big man out of Louisiana Tech.
Getting an opportunity, good for him.
I love Cam Thomas. I think he has a future in the NBA. I think he's going to be an elite tank commander for a team that's trying to get a good draft pick sometime in the future. But unless he can figure out how to play as a tertiary option on this Nets team, he's never going to have a role here because he's just quite simply not as good as the players he's behind.
All right, so here's what Eric Slater asked. I'm trying to pause this and play it at the same time. This is what Jacques Vaughn had to say about Cam Thomas yesterday.
Yeah, so I wish the score was 134 Brooklyn Nets, 105 Philadelphia. I think that part helps, is that the goal is you win as a team. And so 46 points is great, but we end up losing by 30. So you got to attach those together. How do you marry the 29 shots or the 30 shots to being a productive teammate where you might not get that amount of shots in a typical game? That's the question. So can you harness and take that ability and be able to do it in a short amount of time, in a more efficient time, and in a setting that it benefits the entire team? That's the challenge.
So again, that goes back to what we've been saying the whole time. And from the beginning, when Cam had those 3 40-point games, the first thing they said about it was like, that's great. It's history. It's something they can't take away from him. But what was our record in those games? I don't think we won one of those games. So it's like, okay, it's cool if you can go off for 40 any given time. There are plenty NBA players. You've heard guys like LeBron, guys like KD say stuff like, I could get 30 every night. I believe that. But are you going to win every night going for 30, 40 points yourself? No. So where we're at with this Brooklyn Nets team, they have enough guys that can score it. They need guys that can pass, that can play defense, that can rebound, that know when to share the ball, make the right play, when to shoot the ball and make the right play. And Cam is in his second year. He's 21. I'm just like, I'm not worried about Cam Thomas.
The conversation hasn't changed.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not worried about Cam Thomas. Like,
he put up 46 points on the same day that Theo Pinson put up like a 30-point triple-double.
So what
it's
are
not
we
real
talking about?
It's
We're
not
talking
real
about
basketball.
The last game of the season where they sat everybody. And of course, Cam told you I could do that all the time. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Next voicemail. And I get it, because there are a ton of, as we're coming out of the KD Kyrie era stan culture in this Nets culture. There are a ton of stans. There are a ton of people looking for